Okay, so it's the Rashash's roadside to do a very fast little thing, I hope, on the Rashash. That's what they tell me. No? Rashash roadside?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, let's do a little quickly. So the first thing is, Baruch Hashem was a little bit to learn by the Hilger of Morgenstern. And he says that every single of the Rashash's Lashon is very, very schwer. And people wonder about it, because it's very schwer. And I have 3 teachers who discussed why it's very schwer. So I'll tell you quickly what they each said. Rav Morchanachum, because of Rav Kaduri, who used to teach by Rashash Chacham, and now he's by Maharal. He explained, if you look at the few places where the Arizal himself wrote, it looks very much like the Rashash. Number one. So he's like, he was a Gilgal, like the chidah says. The Arizal said, I will come to you if you're Zocher, I will come to you to reveal what I've had to say. He said, that is the Rashash. That's the chidah says. Rashash came back and Gilgal Ari to fill in what's going on. And that was his answer. Answer number 2. Rav Erlinger said, we know that in the universities they chap the Rhine, Nari, and different things. He said, the Rashash, nobody learns Rashash. He said, because it's just too hard. He said, so he made it difficult. The language uses different and very, very hard. He said he could have made it easier. He did it because I suspect, he said, he didn't want all these guys. They're going to get that Re, but they don't get him. You don't get me, and that's fine. That's what he said. But Morgenstern said that the bechina of the Rashash, every single little reason, dray that he says that these. And it's like you say, could you summarize this in 2 minutes and you understand what's flying? It's like here, it's like, what are you just this is this and this? Okay, got it. This whole and this, which is this, which is that. It's like what are all these lashonos? Because they all have enough communion. Your avodah Hashem. Because the Rashash, especially if you're the Torah Chacham, if you have he learns, is all about avodah Hashem. That's number 1. That's the first thing to be aware of, right? The second thing we're aware of is that again, the Morgenstern explains that when you learn Eitz Chaim, it comes out, there's a whole bunch of questions, almost 100 questions. In Sugyas, not just one question each place, but he has these hard, difficult problems, and he deals with them through his tirutzim, through his answers. So he's like, you can learn that Rashash, and it's easier, but let's ask you his questions and see what you do with them, and you're going to have a hard time. That's the thing. So that when you learn the Gra, for example, in the Sharim, it becomes very clear that they learned that if there's a steer, this, the chin, and this, they're both true. It depends on the avodah where you are. But then that also, like, when? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here it says this. Here it says that. How do you? So you still have to know how exactly. It's a very interesting study for me. I haven't by any means completed it. I don't even have a clear picture, but at least a little bit. You see that they keep bringing this yisod. This is this matzav, and that's that matzav. That's the further on Chal's Mahalach as well. But it's not easy. We don't have an organized way necessary to really get how that is. And so was also trying to do that. They're trying to work out all these theories in a way that's going to be understandable. But one other thing the Rashash does is he said all of the Ishtalshlus applies everywhere on a certain level. He says so that wherever you are, you have all of these things. It's all wherever you are, and because everything's interconnected with the Rashash, that means that you can also access the highest places, which is pretty astounding. It's pretty amazing. So like wherever you are, everything's interconnected, so you can reach the highest place too. It's not just not just everything is. And really, the way the Rashash comes out is that what we're working mostly in is nefesh ruach. The rest is fixed. Nefesh ruach we need to fix. Whatever levels we're talking about, the nefesh ruach. Everything else is pretty much a-okay. All that nefesh ruach, that's where you're working. That's where your job is. That's where the avodah is. And the Gra seems to say something simple. That's why he touches several things. Like for example, that all the worlds that we're dealing with from Isa till Atzilas start right. All these worlds, all these yonim, right, that we talk about, right? It's after Akudim, which means below the tabor, below the belly, as it were, of Kadmon. That's the bechina of the grosses because the taibas. That's where they are. He said above, you don't need to fix your, the problem is not the lungs. The problem is the things driving you from lower down. That's the problem. That's the trouble. It's the same similar idea. So that's one inyan. Okay, so now the Rashash, people don't really know this, but he was a tremendous Baal Mofes. And he had tremendous kochos, which is not normal. The mice, when you learn what he did, his schedule, first of all, apparently he slept an extremely little amount of time. I mean, it doesn't sound like he had an hour, which I don't know how that could be, but that's what it seems like. You hear, because he had to stay up till because maybe you want to sleep on Chatzos because your time Misa. So he didn't sleep before Chatzos because he was afraid of sleep. Then after Chatzos, he did Shachar for this time, this that time, that other time. He was always up for a Lo Shachar. And he down in the net. And he did like a whole... You work through everything. It doesn't seem as though he had much sleep. I don't know exactly how they could be. But that's what they, state. I'm sure that, I don't know how he accessed these places that are above nature, but he certainly did. Someone asked the Rav Shlomo Zalman Aurbach. Some surfer said they finished matzahs in, I think, 4 minutes. She said, it has to be an exaggeration. You can't make matzah. He's like, are you crazy? He said, he was for sure not exaggerating. I don't know how they did it. And he said, I can't talk much about it. How they did it, but people were zocher to get these koiches that are above nature, and they do things that they don't make any sense. Yeah, I think 4, maybe even 3. Yeah, from the beginning to the end, done. I have no idea how, but that's what he says. I think it's 3 or 4 minutes. I don't remember. Maybe a little more. I don't remember. It wasn't no 18 minutes. It wasn't no 9 minutes. It was like quick. So he's like, "What are you crazy? That's the heading of some sort of exaggerating? You out of your mind?" So he writes that I can't explain. Kiyadua that we have an unusual matzah from the Nisei matzah that's above nature here, and just like we're done. Somehow goodbye. It's like there are people who are zocher. So I'll tell a story or two, right? So one time the Rashash, they came to the Rashash, and the governor here, our governor had his place where he lived near Arizal where people were burying, because he had a tax. He liked to squeeze out as much money as possible from the Jewish people. So if you want to bury anyone, you had a tax. You don't really have anywhere else to bury. It was legal also. It was that was where you buried. That was so. It was a parent. And you're like, what do we do? The mother died. There's no money. We can't pay any tax. What do you do? So why are they going to the Rashash? So they knew the Rashash. If he says it's okay, it's okay. Take care of it. So Rashash says, don't worry about it. I'll come to Levi. It's going to be fine. But no problem. They made the Levi. It's illegal. You can get fined. You can get imprisoned. Anything. The guy can do anything. Doesn't matter. Rashash says it's okay. Everything will be fine. So they're going on this Levi. This guy's always looking, as if he's, where he worked, whatever he did, whatever he was doing, he was always overlooking his hookah, whatever these guys had, whatever. He was always overlooking the I'll get money. I don't want to lose money. It's a parnasa thing. It's like really, I'm sure he had guards, whatever. Night probably had guards, clothes, whatever it was. So he said he saw the whole matzah there, the procession. He's like, hey, what is this? You have tax? I didn't hear anyone. Nobody paid me. Somebody died. You have to be paid. What is this? You can't. No, stop. Hold my guards. So the Rashash is like, just don't pay attention. He shut up. Like he just went, let's go. Let's continue. They completely nullified. And this guy's really angry. He's like, hey, like pull it out the window, like bars on the window. Hey, well, I just called you. And then the bars went, rip, like held him in. And he's like, what do you do? Like you're dead. Basically, you're dead because he's like it's like as if he has bars on him. He can't go to the bathroom. He can't sleep. He can hardly eat. Like he's like. And they're like, holy God, what the heck? So he starts calling his people. They're like, what do we do? We can't really, you can cut the bars, but you'll kill him. You think a sledgehammer? Like, what do you do? I don't know what you do today. You have his lasers, maybe. Like, they didn't have any way of doing anything about it. So he's kind of in trouble. So finished the fire. On the way back, he called him in a much nicer tone. And he said, you have to help me out here. So Rashash is like, okay, let's make a deal. You get rid of this tax, I free you. Otherwise, you could die. And the guy's like, he doesn't know what to do, because he's going to die. He's, you don't have long. What are you going to do? The bathroom standing? Like, what do you do? It's not the big leader. So he had no choice. He said, okay, you know what? Fine. I'll nullify it. He said the thing. The bars opened up. That was the Rashash. There's another crazy story. One of these unbelievable stories. This guy came to him. He had a melon, watermelon, whatever it was. He was walking along, and there was these guys outside, and it was, I don't know what you call it. I don't call it a bar. I guess it was an alcoholic, whatever they did, smoking the pot, whatever they do, whatever. And someone grabbed his. He said, "Oh, look at that! He took it. He took it. He took it. Melon. Took it. Melon. Says, hey, took it. I want it. It's a nice one. I'll take it. Guy had no food. Whatever he was from. He wanted for his family. So he ran to Rashash. Rashash was there. So Rashash said, "You have to give it back to him. Give it back to him right now." She said, "Oh yeah." I said, "You open." He pulled his sword. He's like, "I'm gonna break it, enjoy myself a melon, and maybe I'll cut you too." And the Rashash is like, "Oh, really?" So he went to break it, his sword went, and he died. Killed himself. And then the guy died. So, there were police. The guy, this rabbi, who's pretty well known, who murdered. When you have murder, even murder by Peskishuv or whatever, or from their perspective, or by Shemus HaKodesh, like they don't, not kill people. They can't, this is not a lawless place. They call the police right away. This rabbi. This was quite a distance away from, his yeshiva in the old city where he taught. So they start finding out who he was, and they come to the place, and they finally, it didn't take long. And they come to the yeshiva, which is quite a while away. And they walk in, and they see he's teaching. And they say, how long has he been teaching? He said he was teaching like from about a minute after the guy died. He had been there teaching. It's a half-hour walk. So, can't be him. He's here. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, as everyone says, no one's lying. They're all sitting in there, obviously engrossed in class. They say it for half an hour. No one's lying. Why would they lie? And they weren't lying. He was there. Just he somehow kind of skipped the journey. So whatever. So that's a shot. So the Shana Munim is incredible stories. Like Chofetz Chaim. You don't say these stories about anybody. So I don't know what happened, but these stories are pretty. But the Taras HaKodesh says the Shana Munim, the Rebbe Shana Munim, he said that when they plowed up Parazation from all these different sides until they got to Rochaim HaKodesh. So Rochaim HaKodesh was a little complicated. They tried hard to plow, keep moving the tractors to make their wall, but their road, whatever they were doing, he said, then one guy died and two guys died. He said, when 13 people finally died, they stopped. There was just too many. It was like another one, like this, everyone keeps dying. We just can't get this camera out of the way. He's like, he lived then. He's like, there were 13 people, casualties. Like, we don't know what's going on, but there's something wrong with it. We just can't, this is not a good plan. Let's reevaluate this plan. That was it. So he said, they had plowed up the Rashash's grave. He said it was open. He said, I saw that he was completely without any decay, nothing. And he lived in the time of Baal Shem Tov, so it was a while. But he said, I saw. He said he had nothing, the Tachricha ripped, nothing, looked like the man just died. So it's pretty intense. He said he saw such a thing. So he was one of the people who was coming to bring down the Ari on a completely different level. And I think you'll find that although it's difficult learning it, it's hard to express the incredible tahara it gives over the person. You learn it gives you you're going to be mechavan, you hold the Rashash, you don't know, I don't hold anybody, I don't know anything, I hold everyone, I hold nothing, I don't know anything about these things. But if you learn the Yom the Rashash, it imparts an incredible tahara. And as far as I remember, because he says everything's interconnected, I think that in the end of Rechav Sanar there, right before Har Shalom, he says, so every mitzvah you do is actually also, 613 times, 613, some incredible chesed, you made like 1 million mitzvahs or something, every mitzvah, which is pretty amazing, because everything's interconnected. So it's all, so you did tzitzis, but tzitzis is connected to tefillin, it's connected to Shabbos, it's connected to this, it's connected to that. It's not only what we say, it's everything's interconnected, because there's got to be an accident, everything everywhere. So Mela, you actually did, and it's a completion of all these, it completes all the other mitzvahs. So therefore, it's as if you did all the mitzvahs. I think it's 613, 613 is a crazy number. And it's any one mitzvah, which is pretty, of course, like the Rebbe says, Zamra, I mean, mitzvah is eternal. So I read that, I was like, how many? I don't even remember how many. I just remember being like blown away. It's unbelievable. Like one mitzvah is not one mitzvah. It's actually like many, many, many. Who knows how many mitzvahs? Like every little mitzvah is like eternal. It's connected. It's an incredible thing. So that's the other thing that I thought I would mention. And then he brings Rav Chaim Vital about if there's no midas, there's no foundation. He's like, there's nothing there because you have to have a foundation, and that's like a very big avodah for many people. Like dealing with the midas, working with the midas, it's hard to get to a place where you really understand, you really appreciate. So I'll finish off, of course, with the story of the frog because I can't avoid it. That story is like the ultimate story, And I always very quickly give over like what the Maharal says. The Maharal says that being a Jew is different. It's something very special. Being part of the chosen people. He said you have a koach. A person has an neshama. You're chosen from Hashem. It means the Torah is given this because we have azim. We have a lot of chutzpah. So that's why Yonah said, I'm not going to tell the Jews, forget it, they're never do tshuva, the goyim do tshuva won't look good, even the tshuva didn't last. It's because we have a koach, it's like fire, you can't influence fire without water. Fire will burn stone, it doesn't matter, you have to have the right thing. So something, he said, sometimes it expresses itself in crime, expresses itself in some research, some cause, something's going to happen, there's something movement, it's like a fire, you're not going to, you want to put it out, when you're right about to succeed, he said, you die. Can't put it out. It's forever, it's eternal, it's fiery, can't move it. So
what exactly is fire?
This mitzvot, this chelik l'kami mal, this fire in a Jewish heart. And sometimes again it can be misexpressed. It can come out in very bad ways. And yet there's something there that's completely different. Again, it's the Maharal also. You can't blow it. He has this special shmirah. He'll be doing good things, no matter what, no matter where, no matter how. So So one time, Sheikh, one of these Muslim priests, whatever, came over to Rashash. He said, I don't understand. We both understand, we both know that the person goes in the water and, he washes his hands and he purifies himself. So we pray 5 times a day, you pray 3. We wash 5 times, you wash 3. So we're holier. Now that's a stupid question because, first of all, the Jews, we always wash before eating. I'm not sure that they do. We have different times. He could have said, what do you mean? No, we also wash the chidah in the morning. He could have answered, technically speaking, that actually we wash more times. But that's not what the Rashash said. The Rashash said, let me ask you a question. Do you eat frog? He's like, ugh, it's an unclean beast. Of course not. He's like, how about chicken? Is chicken alright? Chicken's great. So tell me, it's very strange. It seems like a little incongruous because the frog is all day in the water. The chicken's, it's in the garbage heap, and it's hardly in the water. You can't bathe the chicken so easily. So, isn't the frog pure? He said, apparently you can put something in the water, and if the thing isn't so good itself, it doesn't matter how much it's in the water. You can drown in the water, it can live in the water, and the thing is still not for consumption, not fit for human consumption. That's what he said. That's it. And again, I'm not trying to put anyone down. There's the Indian of understanding what it means to be the Am HaNivchar. You have a koich, you have an or. It's part of this Indian. You have something very special, which you give over to your kids. If you're Zochet to marry Jewish, a person doesn't, putting one down, the person could be the biggest person, the most special person in the world, but there's something there that they can't give to the kid. There's something missing there. And, we see it. It disappears. And that's something that's very, very precious, and it's not kedai to let go of. So we have to understand. When you look through it, it's very pashut. Like the more, again, you look. I always bring this guy. I don't know. I wish I remember his name. It's an Asian chap from China. It's a professor or something. He said, I was in China. I heard about Jewish accomplishment. He said, I was for sure that there must be at least also a billion Jews. I mean, you can make an arguable case that in terms of science, in terms of many, many things, the Jews did more than the Chinese. Possible, and I don't know, maybe less, a little less. It's not that clear who won more Nobel Prize, for example. Who did more research? Could be one, could be the other. He said, there probably also around 1 billion of them. He said, I found out there's a couple of million. It's like, what happened? I don't understand. So again, so people say, yeah, but the guy learning Torah lab, did he make, it doesn't matter. There's an expression of something there. You use it for this, you use it for that. Fine, I'm not saying, it's going to come out one with the other. It could be the best criminals too, unfortunately. Well, the Gemara Bavasra about, right, most people in, what was it, Pumbedisa? Where was it? Are criminals, or most of the criminals are Jews, and the text is like, no, because there's lots of Jews there. But the Maharal's like, no, the best criminals, it's a problem they have, because you're misusing that spark, and you have a fire, and you burn things to pieces. You do the best. One way or the other way. Finding causes, supporting causes, charity. I had a student who used to say all the time, he used to work in fundraising, and he said it always bothered the I think the Christian, I forgot the name, there's an acronym of some sort, that they're supposedly the big people who raise money. And whatever city it was, the Jews were giving proportionally, ridiculously more money. And they're always annoying. Like, what do you mean? Why are these guys giving more money? And I said to them, there's just more charity. There's something there. It doesn't always come out that way. It comes out another way. There's something there to express the Neshama Eloki. Hashem shall be zoche to all the good things. Again, every person, no matter who he is, no matter what, Jew, non-Jew, it doesn't matter. Every person's here for a reason. Every person has a purpose. Whatever he's doing to connect to God, whether he knows it or not. And as much as he cooperates, that's how much he's going to be connected in the next world. He has to have some good thing. One good thing is eternal. You want to blow a soul, you can't junk a soul so easy. It takes a lot of hard work. If you want to ruin your soul, you have to really work hard and do something really with any sincerity. You never have any good desire, because otherwise there's going to be something there in Gan Eden. On the other hand, we do know that there are levels and levels and levels of Haba, different beginners, there's Chesed Mason, there's resurrection, all these things. That already want to make it. It's Chassidim Masolim, the non-Jews who are pious and a high level, they make it. Otherwise, it's not. The soul will be in Gan Eden, will get very high a level of reward. We don't understand. So we're not trying to put anyone down, or trying to, relate incorrectly to anyone. We know, we know that in Chazal that if you're in terms of what you have to do, every non-Jew, the Radlishstein points this out. He's very correct. It's just passionate. You have to say good morning. You have to give charity when the person needs help. There are a lot of things you have to do. It doesn't matter, Jew, non-Jew. It's just the way. That's the bottom line. You can't just So Chaim Vital actually says in Shai Gedusha that you have to love every Jew and every non-Jew, just like Avraham Avinu. So, the Sfarim say, wait a minute, that's only means Hasidus maybe, wait a minute, what was it talking about? So, but the other account says, no, it's Kipshuto, because you just have to be careful not to be influenced. When you love someone, Alva is Gematria Echad, like the Maharal says, you become one. You said, that you can't do. You can't be influenced and go somewhere else and say, I'll also do this, I'll also do that. No, that's not good. It's with a Jew who's not in such a good place, that's why it's something called lo sichanem. The non-Jew, you're not supposed to. There are certain things that you have to be very careful. You shouldn't be so connected, because when you give him chen, right? You give a person a chen, you say, "Oh, he's my idol. He's the best." It's not. You have to be very careful. I'll just quickly tell the last story about Rav Shlomo Zalman Aurbach. It's a very, very interesting concept that he brings. That somebody was in hospital in Boston, I think, and he got with difficulty raised money for an operation for his wife, and they found another problem. She needed another operation for only $50,000, something which he did not have $5. He had nothing. Everything was raised, and he was there. The money, he didn't know what to do. So when the nurses heard his situation, like, you know what, they made a pile, they raised the money. They seemed to be good people. They raised the money, and the hospital heard that they raised a certain amount of the money. The doctors, like, we'll bat you. The hospital, the kids, they paid, and they were not Jewish. Maybe some people were Jewish, but it wasn't Jewish people who were caring at that point. They just raised all the money. So he came back to Israel, and the husband was like, I don't know what to do. He said, on the one hand, I feel like so impressed. These people were such mention, they were so good. He said, but really, they were mostly, maybe even all of them, were not Jewish. So he's like, you're not allowed to praise them. He said, maybe I'm not allowed to praise them that way, because I want to go after that, but this is like a good thing. This is really prohibited. So someone was there. He said, well, the Gemara tells us about Dim ben Estina, right? The non-Jew who didn't want to wake his father. He had the key under his pillow for the gems. He said they wanted for the Betumin, right? It's special gemstones, very, very valuable. You make a profit, make it big with these Jewish people for the basic measures. They didn't care, right? There's no one to the people. You give whatever you give, no problem. Whatever you ask, we'll give you. And they went somewhere else because they didn't want to wake his father up. And they learned how to honor your father. There's another story also l'chayr about him. I think about him also l'chayr, but also in the non-Jew. That the parents slapped in the face and they took his money, like a hole, threw his money in the sea, and he didn't do anything. You learn how to respect your parents. She said, apparently, the only reason when you're not allowed to praise a non-Jew is when something which is not laudable from a Jewish perspective. If something that's laudable, that's moral, that's beautiful, so then of course you can praise it. She said, yeah, that's right. It's right. Otherwise, how do they praise it? So he brings his name, brings everything. It's Jewish. So it's clear that no one's trying to be careful not to. There's a whole a group of people. We had a lot of persecution throughout the years. So there are a lot of people who they think that. My grandmother, she said, when I was 10 in Poland, she said, you go down the block, you could be beaten, you could be spit on, they could do anything to you, and you had no recourse. You go to police, they laugh you out of. They don't care. They have their heads off. Can't do anything about it. So that was just the normal court. You can't imagine how hard it was. So people got like this Golos complex, but we don't have to continue it in the places where that's not where people are generally holding. People are not necessarily holding like they hate your guts just because you're Jewish. But Poland, like that was the way it was. It's very hard to, or as Rav Shlomo Zalman would say, looking at the guy and saying, "You probably hate your guts, you slime ball," it's not going to help improve his. If he has a problem, that's not going to help it. That's for sure. That's not going to do it. Like there's a story with there was a contemporary of admirable. I don't remember who it is. I forgot his name. This Yid was on the train. He looked very, weird. He was very distinguished with good clothing, and this guy started cursing him out. He was a general or a captain. He didn't like him. He was cursing him out for no reason. Cursing him out. And he said, no, you're not necessarily saying disgusting, just saying lowly things. He said, no, you are. He said, I'm a captain of the army or general, whatever, I don't know what he was. So he called the conductor, they called the policeman, and as it happens, this guy was part of the parliament in Poland, so he ranked him way over him. So he had kind of Jew talk to me about like that. And this guy, although he's Jewish, he happened to be like one of the biggest people in the country, and the guy didn't know. So he pulled out his things, like, yeah, by the way, I'm the parliament, so whatever you said about me, you can go to the jail. But like most people, you just put it to pieces. They'll put you in prison because he said something to you and you answer him back. He beat you up, slap you up, like anything, you can do anything. So it's very difficult. So people got this complex. They're very, very angry. They're very upset. But all the chazals that talk about goyim, You have also Chazal, you know, strong things. He said, but we have also Chazal about ignoramuses also. Nobody's going to gut them like a fish. Like all these terrible things that talk about ignoramuses. No, it doesn't mean literally Chas v'shalom, whoever did such a thing. No, whatever do such a thing. It means change his essence, and change him, and reconstitute and figure out how to work with him and make him something else. Not to actually do these sort of things, Chas v'shalom, because no one ever did. Hashem is the king. We should be zochah to the aura of the holy Rashash. Yes, we're zochah to have a totally different Indian because we're building, but everyone's building. We're building chitzonius, something else. Our aspects of the holiness. We're building pnimius compared to chitzonius. The pnimius chitzonius is like the minor elements, but it's still something. It's not nothing. Something's always something. Like Rabbi Nachman said, it says that the wicked will be of Jews and non-Jews. On Shana it says the wicked they will go through 12 months of Gehenna, and then they will become dust under the feet of the righteous. He said, yeah, but dust is not nothing compared to high levels. It's nothing, but it's not really nothing. You know, Hashem shall be zocheh to the aura of the Heilig Rashash.
Amen.